Well, it would help if I'd have plugged the mics in, wouldn't it?
Oh,
It's okay. It's best to give it a few seconds just in case, because it takes 10 seconds to warm up sometimes.
I think it takes 10 seconds for me to warm up my brain by the looks of it.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Can I just...
yeah, you do your business.
Aye.
Ay. Where does the movie fit in?
The movie's another reality they've had to kind of say, because it does not fit with any of the continuity at all. So the 95 movie is alternate reality.
And
they already
alpha
kind of did that. So. What's
Sorry,
that? Sorry?
Another Alpha related question. What happened to Alpha 6 and 7? Because this movie had 8 and 9.
Alpha 6 was last seen in Angel Grove during Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. And Alpha 7, I don't recall. They probably did turn up somewhere because they're constantly doing these crossovers and things. But yeah.
That is the good thing about Power Rangers, right? Is that they always sort of like look to the past and then
acknowledge.
It's like good Doctor Who multi-Doctor stories.
Right, yeah.
But there's just much more of them.
Yeah. I could highly recommend several if you're into that kind of thing. But like I said, every time they do a big crossover, it's always really cool. With the best one still being Forever Red, if you've never seen that one episode.
I love Forever Red.
Epic. Yeah. 10 Red Rangers. Kick ass.
Red Alien Ranger. Because I'd never watched. We'll get into it, but I've never watched like the Alien Rangers. So I was like, as a kid, it was always like, where the fuck did these guys come from?
They didn't have a full series. It was in like 8 to 10 episode miniseries on the end of Mighty Morphin season 3. I don't know if you'd stopped watching by then, but basically Master Vile turned the main Rangers into kids, so they couldn't be Power Rangers anymore. So Zordon had to summon the Rangers from Aquitar, who were conveniently the suits that the Japanese show was using at the time and who fit the Ninja Zords that they'd been using the whole time. So let's use the Sentai footage now, because we can.
Let's use the free stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That season was messed up, though, because they did stupid things, because obviously the color scheme is totally different, which they got away with in season 2 because they just made the Green Ranger the Black Ranger and never addressed the fact that the Lion had green all over it, which is fair enough. But then in season 3, when they get to the Shogun Zords, there's not a pink one, but there is a white one. And so they were just like, well, Tommy and Catherine just share a Zord. Don't ask questions.
They probably have sex in it. Just like if you listen to this podcast. Was it episode 248? Jesus. Yeah. Fuck. Magic.
248, wow.
And no Mike. There's never been a Power Ranger named Mike.
Is there not?
Has there ever been
There has actually, yeah. The second Magna Defender was named Mike. In Lost Galaxy. So
Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
I'm not happy that you guys were dissing Lost Galaxy, because that is actually my favorite out of every one of the seasons.
As we will get into, Mike, as you might have guessed, everyone, Mike is back to talk. This is pure Power Rangers, and if you're wondering why we didn't talk about that big thing that happened in the news, we haven't heard it, so it doesn't happen. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
It hasn't been scripted yet.
Nice. So we'll be talking about Power Rangers Once, Forever, Always, and again soon, maybe. And we'll we'll probably just go through Mike's entire backlog of knowledge on the Power Rangers.
Whew. I'll be as succinct as I can, but yeah.
10,000 years worth of knowledge, Michael, you've been leading up to this. 10,000 years worth of planning to conquer Earth.
I think Rita's probably the best villain.
Well, a lot of people really still love Lord Zed, which is why he's in the series that they're doing this year, Cosmic Fury. They brought him back as well to be the main villain. So.
Because he was brought in the movie, and then
no, it's the season 2 of the TV show.
TV show, and then see, this is how it's been so long since I watched all, because they used to have, when they had them all on Netflix, I was like, I'm gonna watch them all from the beginning, and I got to the end of Zeo, and I was like, I am so tired.
You have no commitment, man. Some of us have watched every episode for 30 years.
So, as someone who was born at the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which probably doesn't do like a lot of positivity for your ego right now, talk us through your history and your love of the Power Rangers.
Well, it's a weird history. If you're talking about my personal history, I started watching at the age of 11 when Mighty Morphin came out. So, before you were born, which is a bit depressing. Loved it, watched it right the way through. Loved Mighty Morphin, had all the toys and everything for a while because, I was the perfect age. I like you, I kind of got through Zeo and then hit Turbo, and like a whole lot of fans gave up at that point because Turbo was terrible. It's uniformly regarded as
the fucking Turbo movie was
something else.
Oh, it is drivel. It is terrible. Yeah,
in the way that the Once and Always was too short, Turbo was just so long.
Yeah. See, but Turbo is an example of what we were talking about off air, where they were trying not to use as much Japanese footage, so they just shoved in random American aliens and cars and stuff, and it just looks awful.
Yeah. Fast and Furious Power Rangers.
Family. But anyway, so I gave up with Turbo because it put a lot of people off, which is a shame because many people do say In Space is one of the best, and obviously I went back later. What got me back into it was I had a little brother, not me personally, my mum did all the hard work. But my little brother kind of came of being the age to get into Power Rangers as a super youngster around Wild Force time. And I was like, this is really good. This has got vibes of the kind of original show. And I really, I love Wild Force. It's probably my second favorite after Lost Galaxy. So.
Wow. We'll have to do our top 10s in a minute.
So, I kind of stuck with it while I was kind of looking after my brother and stuff through Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder. Love SPD because I'm a good sci-fi future nerd, as you well know. And then Mystic Force happened, and I was like, ooh, I'm trailing off a bit here. This is a bit Harry Potter, I'm not loving all of it.
That is a good point. That's probably why they did that.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, it depends what the Japanese show is, but that's probably what inspired them, because if it's popular here, it will be around the world. So, but it was a bit too kind of capes and magic ones, and I was like, I like the way the story's going. And again, we can get into it later, but I've watched a lot of the Sentai since the Japanese footage, and a lot of the time that's much better because they originate the story, and then we get the footage in the West and have to try and
repurpose it. Yeah, we have to try and wrench it around, make it
around it. So, but so Mystic Force had me a little bit, just dipping in and out, and you couldn't really do that because it was you have to watch the whole season to get the story kind of thing. Then the season after that is arguably the actual worst season of them all, which is Operation Overdrive, and I gave up again. So I didn't see
involving cars.
Maybe Power Rangers shouldn't be based around cars.
Or anything.
Operation Overdrive was kind of a weird Tomb Raider riff. They were like treasure hunters looking for, and kind of like, I guess, as an Indiana Jones vibe, because they're looking for mystical things like the crown of the king and Excalibur and stuff. But it's like, no. And then randomly, the Red Ranger turns out to be an android created by what he believed was his dad. Because sure.
Now that's a twist that we should get more, because instead of just it's 5 teenagers with attitude, and we're just gonna do the same thing. Which a lot of people, I think, that's how they perceive Power Rangers, is they just reset it and do the same stuff. But there is actually some good stories in there.
Like a lot of things, though, I think it tends to do better when it sticks with what's familiar, and when it goes a bit too left field, certain people just don't love it. So anyway, I kind of gave up at that point. Again, I should say I've been and watched every series since, so I caught up with the ones I had missed because I went back again a third time. When I randomly, because this is another whole different story, RPM happened and basically Power Rangers got cancelled because Disney had bought it and they weren't wanting to put the money in. It wasn't getting the ratings. Lots of people will swear RPM is probably the best series. I don't care for it because it's just not.
I've never gelled for the stuff I've seen of RPM.
RPM to me is Operation Overdrive 2.0. It's another car related show. It's another getting the gadget. The world's ending though, and from what I understand, it ended the original timeline briefly because they.
That's what I mean. Yeah. No, it's had to be an alternate universe because the entire premise of the series is our world's been completely swarmed by this evil computer virus, and the only place we have left is this one domed city in this post-apocalyptic landscape. And naturally, you can't then go back to another series and be like, but we're all fine now. Don't worry about it. So
exactly. Yeah.
It took it as far as it could go.
Yeah.
So what was after RPM?
Well, after RPM, they cancelled it and they did this terrible thing called a reversion of the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which if you ever have a chance to watch it just out of curiosity, maybe give 10, 20 minutes a try and no more. It's basically exactly the same footage as the first season, but they decided to randomly put in like comic book Batman 66 type effects for no reason at all, just to make it look, I suppose, fresher and newer. Because
that's on Netflix, isn't it? It's because it's down as 4 seasons. So you got the 3 seasons and then the first season on the reversion.
Yeah, and it's just so weird because it's trying to be like a live action comic book and it just looks stupid. Like you'll have random scenes where they're forming the Megazord and it stops and just becomes like a star wipe that pulses at the screen and bright flashing colors, and you're just like, this is awful. What are you doing? So yeah, nobody liked that. So that ended before they'd even finished half, I think, of the first season of Mighty Morphin.
That's and I'm sure they didn't continue with it.
Yeah, they didn't continue with that because Disney sold the rights back to Saban, who had it originally before Wild Force Ninja Storm time. And they came out with Power Ranger Samurai, which was the one that got me back involved because I caught it just randomly, I think on Channel 5 or whatever was showing it one weekend before work. And I was like, this is, again, really good. It's got original Mighty Morphin type vibes, even though it's heavily Japanese culture influenced, given that it's samurai, obviously. But they copied like the theme tune from Mighty Morphin, and they brought Bulk back as one of the characters as like the comic relief alongside Skull's son, because obviously Skull didn't want to do it, I guess. So it was a whole like, okay, you're leaning back into the continuity here and away from RPM, and that was the one that established RPM. Don't worry about it; it's another universe over here somewhere. So yeah, I like Samurai. Megaforce is a whole story unto itself because they tried to adapt 2 different Japanese seasons into one. Well, 2 seasons for us, but what would have been 1 season's worth of length, like 40 episodes, and that included the most important Japanese season they've ever done, which was the 35th anniversary season, called Gokaiger in Japan, but adapted into Super Megaforce here and butchered horribly. It's so good. The Japanese one is so good, and it should have been so good when Power Rangers did it, because the key conceit is basically these pirates from space in Japan have keys that will let them transform into any of the previous Rangers. And that's their kind of special ability. They can do it, not forever. They can only get like a limited time to adapt this power, so they can't just switch and then they're fine or whatever. But it was so cool how it played into the continuity and the history of Sentai that had gone before it, because you had appearances by multiple previous actors. You had every one of the past suits coming back in and being used, a lot of the past Zords, legendary versions of it, where the Megazord would combine with things that were related to the old series and stuff. And yeah, like I said, that got like 40 episodes in Japan, and we got like, I think 16 or something to adapt it, and they just rushed through it. Completely butchered it. And the weird decision that they made as well was, obviously in Japan, they have way more Sentai than we have Power Rangers, because we didn't start adapting until what was their 16th series, which we got as Mighty Morphin.
Oh, wow.
So there's footage in Japan of things that never appeared for us because we never aired those shows. We don't have those costumes. And even though they cut a whole lot of stuff out and butchered the shows, they included times when the Rangers transform into these suits that have never been seen here, and just went like, yeah, that's fine. The powers that have never been seen on Earth before. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It was just like, what are you doing?
Right.
What's going on here?
Power Rangers, because this is a kids show, we can't even acknowledge it.
Exactly.
As of now,
It's just so weird because they were filming original footage, like new stuff that they could use with the suits and stuff to put into their show at random times, and then at other times it was just like, here's a suit you've never seen before, ka-ching. What? What's this? And they didn't even address it like beyond, I think there's one line early in the season that's just like, oh, you can access powers never seen on Earth before. And then randomly later in the season, they're just calling out things like Blue Lightning Ranger, Yellow Blitz Ranger. And I'm like, we don't know what these are. You just made them up.
Who are you? Benedict Cumberbatch.
But anyway, so yeah, Super Megaforce was a bit of a disaster. I quite enjoyed Megaforce, even though it could have been better. Then they started doing, Nickelodeon had gotten the rights to air it, and they started splitting every season into its name and then super its name. So it became Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Dino Charge, Dino Supercharge. Dino Charge was a really good season, but again, they botched it by ending the season with the dinosaurs never went extinct and we all just live with them. So that's another one they've had to shove off into the corner of, that's another world, shush. So yeah, Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, I stuck with it. And I've kind of stuck with it ever since through Beast Morphers, Dino Fury, and now Cosmic Fury as it's coming in, and all the movies and bits and pieces. And yeah, so I know a lot about, because like I say, I went back and caught up on all the ones I missed as well, including some real gems. I should probably have watched all of them. Probably a lot of the ones after some of the worst seasons ended up being some of the best. Although there is obviously debate in the fan circles, which I swear do exist. We are all adults and we do care about this. But yeah, there's some debate about what the best series are and what are great or not great, and it gets divisive.
What would you then say, Mike, in your like nerdy vast knowledge? What would you say is like the prime or the peak era? Like from what year to what season would you say is like in its prime? Power Rangers.
That's a tough one. Personally, it splits into 3 eras at the moment. No, 4, I believe, because there's the Zordon era, which is everything until Zordon died. Spoiler alert. So that's like Mighty Morphin to the end of In Space. Then you got the post-Zordon era, which is the end of the Saban era, first era. That takes you to about halfway through Wild Force. Then the Disney era takes you through RPM. The Neo Saban era is Samurai till the end of Dino Charge. And now we're in the Hasbro era, which has been since Ninja Steel, because they now have the rights. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, naturally, being an old, nostalgia bait idiot, I would say the Zordon era is the best because, that's what got me hooked in. But having said that, I certainly wouldn't say that ignore all the other stuff. A lot of people will write them off. The Disney era in particular gets written off a lot, and I don't think that's entirely fair. So,
do you think it's the weakest era?
It's between that and the Neo Saban era, just because Neo Saban makes so many weird choices, like that whole Megaforce, Super Megaforce thing. So it's between those two for me, but I think I'd probably say Neo Saban ended up worse.
Oh, so what would if you had to say your top 10 Power Rangers series?
Big question. Let me try and see. So Lost Galaxy is definitely number 1. Wild Force would be number 2.
Oh,
good picks.
Number 3, I'd probably slot in Mighty Morphin and cheat and say, all 3 seasons, even though I suppose it's kind of...
it counts as one show.
Yeah.
That's...
We'll count it as one. So, number 3 would be Mighty Morphin. Number 4, probably SPD, because like I say, I'm just a mad...
Oh, that's good SPD love.
Good shout,
yeah. That's... After that, you're getting into rough territory for me. So, number 5... probably In Space.
Yeah, it's just because Connor's in it.
And Rossessa. Yes, probably In Space. Then there's so many that I like. Then arguably, my number 6 would be one that's not always popular with everyone, which is Jungle Fury. And that's...
Oh, I really didn't gel with Jungle Fury. That's the first time I think I'd seen it, like the toys in Toys R Us, and was like, and no, I don't know what any of this means anymore. What is this?
I liked what they did with Jungle Fury. It's such a fine line. Then I would probably, again, the actual fandom would rip me apart for this, but my number 7 would be Samurai. And people's biggest issue with that is that it just copies the Japanese footage exactly and goes with the same story. And I don't know why that's a problem.
Because like you said, when the American version has to repurpose the Japanese stuff and try and put it in a different story, there's more of a disconnect. So just keep streamlining it and keeping it near enough the same way surely creates less issues narrative and pacing wise.
It does, but there are certain levels of nerds, and I can say that because I'm one of them, who will watch both Power Rangers and Super Sentai, and if Power Rangers isn't different enough, it's like, well, why did I watch that? I've already watched the Japanese one, and it's like, because not everybody watches dubbed Japanese shows. Just because it's the same story, it's your fault, not the shows.
You enjoy what you enjoy. So after Samurai would be...
So that was 7. Number 8 would be Zeo, which I think is...
I think Zeo gets some stick.
Does it? I always thought it was quite popular.
I think it's just like obviously following straight on from Mighty Morphin.
It's going to be a tough for whatever series is going to come after the original.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I think I've just mainly from my generation, like because obviously I was my first. Like I'll get into my stuff, but like lights, I was aware of Lightspeed Rescue, but Time Force for me was when I was fully invested.
Yeah.
So I'm of that.
Oh crap! Time Force. I forgot about Time Force.
Oh, no. All we do is talk about multiverse and time travel. How can you forget Time Force?
Yeah, I know. I've got the blooming Megazord as well. There's so many good things, but yeah. So my next two would be It's two of the three dinosaur seasons. My number 9, I would say Dino Fury, which could go higher with a bit of time because it's just finished airing. But it did so many things that I'm so proud of it doing, like the first lesbian Power Ranger outside of the movies, obviously, because we had Becky G in the big 2017 movie, but having it in the kids' TV show was a big step. And I was like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And that was your first green female Power Ranger as well, because in Japan they only had one woman on the team, and like how when we started they were like, well, we're not going to do that, so what was actually a man is now a woman, and that was the green Dino Fury. That was the original Yellow Ranger, if anybody's curious, from Mighty Morphin. Should have been a man. That's why the Yellow Ranger hasn't got a skirt. So, yeah, so after blowing your mind with that, I'll finish up and say it's between Dino Charge and I'll go Dino Thunder, just because it's got
Legacy season, baby.
Yeah. The big let's watch this computer clip of the history episode.
Yeah.
Love it. But to be fair, Jason David Frank is probably like the biggest like legend in terms of the Power Rangers universe, because how many times has he been back now?
Oh, a lot of time. The thing is, though, it's controversial again in fan circles because a lot of people are like, we're sick of, or they were certainly a couple of years ago, we're so sick of seeing Tommy, there's other people, and we're sick of the Mighty Morphin Rangers. And people don't really understand, that's the reason you still have the show on now, because that was so popular. So he is popular in certain circles, but within the core fandom, I would say not really, because they kind of shoved Tommy down people's throats a lot and not everyone had a taste for it. Personally, I don't care. I like the character. And my favorite all-time Ranger is the White Ranger, Mighty Morphin. So you know,
there's the reason they kept bringing him back. Like you say, without Mighty Morphin, there is no like succeeding Power Ranger series,
and no future podcast discussions about it. There's no continuation at all whatsoever.
Would you like, in terms of other ones returning, is there like any on your list that you would like to be used more? Like, because I know that I've seen. Like, the one where like they're all back and they're in a big quarry and then like all the suits are there. Like everyone's
the legendary battle from the end of Super Megaforce.
Yes. I know that I've seen a clip like Wes from Time Force takes his helmet off and a few of the others do. And it's kind of like like these are actually the people. This is cool. Like, is there any of those you'd like to be used in a more Tommy Oliver way?
I mean, they do that a lot because, like I said, it feels weird being in this weird situation where I know so much more than a normal person. But like, they do, the Super Ninja Steel does a similar thing where a whole bunch of them come back and they appear helmetless and unmorphed and stuff. So it's not uncommon. It's just that the one that does it the most and tends to lead whenever these crossovers happen is Tommy. Because that's the recognizable face of the franchise.
It's Tommy,
and he's the best.
God damn it!
Yeah. But do you think they'll like use some of the more obscure ones, like going forward, like actually like bring some back that you're not expecting?
I don't think so, because a lot of them have got reasons why. Well, first of all, they film in New Zealand now, so that puts a lot of people off because they're not going to fly to New Zealand to film, what is still regarded, unfortunately, as this kids show, low rent kind of thing by a lot of people. So, and a lot of them have gone on to bigger and sort of huger careers, and they just probably couldn't afford to get them in now. It's surprising how many former Power Rangers you would probably not know were Power Rangers, but they're in huge TV shows and massively famous now, Just to give you a few examples, the lead from iZombie was the yellow RPM Ranger.
iZombie's a good show.
Yeah, I've never actually seen the whole thing, but seen bits of it, and I'm enjoying watching her in Ghosts US. So yeah, but yeah, also from RPM, the guy who was the Red Ranger played Malcolm in Jessica Jones. If you watch that show, so he's got like a Hollywood thing going. The Red SPD Ranger's doing all kinds of work in Hollywood. The Yellow Ninja Steel Ranger is now one of the sort of stable of characters that appears in all the American Horror Stories. So yeah, a lot of them have gone on to just random big, and there's tons of them that went on to stuff with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and things like that. So yeah, a lot of them they just wouldn't be able to get. So I think the ones that they have been, that they have access to and that would do it, they've all had back at one point or another. But the one glaring omission for me, to answer your question, would be Tanya, Zeo Ranger 2. because I know she'd be willing to do it. She does a podcast with Catherine the Pink Ranger, who appears in this special, and she's still very much active in the fan base. And she doesn't have anything else going on. Not to sound mean, but I know she would have definitely come back if she was asked, and she just never has been any of these times, which is a shame.
Yeah, that is rather unfortunate. Yeah. Tanya.
Because I would say every one of the living Rangers from Mighty Morphin through the changeover in Turbo, other than Tanya, has appeared in at least one kind of crossover episode.
Well, interesting. So who would be your top 5 Rangers?
Or basically, create your own team. You can use any Rangers from any show. Create your own team.
I've done this so many times just randomly when I've been... the number of times I've done this and even like photoshopped teams of 5 and 6 together that I would come up with. Can I give you a team of 6? Because my 6th Ranger is sometimes not considered an official Ranger.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can give us a special. All the teams get a special.
So my 6th Ranger would be the Magna Defender from Lost Galaxy, who I flipping love, even though he's not really a Ranger. I would have to include the White Ranger in my team, but see, I'd make him the leader, so he's not the 6th Ranger, much like they did in the show. So it'll be White Mighty Morphin, Magna Defender. I'd probably go with Red Samurai. I don't mind which of the two. You can pick either Jaden or Lauren, male or female. They're both good. So Red Samurai. Blue Megaforce has always been something of a favorite of mine because they went back to the well of he's actually the really intelligent one who's picked on for being a nerd and then saves the day all the time, which I'm a sucker for. Let's see. Lightspeed Rescue Pink, Dana, because I've spoken over video with the actress and she's lovely and I have her autograph, but she's also a cool character and a doctor, so that's handy to have on your team if you have any medical emergencies.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
And I don't want to have 2 of the same color because I'm so tempted to go Time Force Pink, but I won't. Let's see, what else?
You can, but it's a different shade of pink.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time something like that had happened, but I think which
if it's Time Force, you wouldn't go Trip.
No.
What's wrong with this green hair? What's wrong with this green hair?
I definitely would not go with Trip. No.
Eric.
Eric.
I've already got a red, and I know he's 6th and whatever, but it's a whole mess. I'm cycling through my head to think of a good sort of yellow or black, since those are the colors I haven't got. And do you know what? Let's stick Zach in there. Oh no, actually, scrap that. Stick Adam in there. Let him use a Master Morpher and be both Black Mighty Morphin and Green Zeo and Turbo.
Nice.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. I can dig with that. I can dig with that. So I know we briefly said it in, I don't remember what episode it was, when we basically called out your knowledge of Power Rangers, and then now we're here.
Yeah.
Connor, what's your top 5?
What series?
Because I don't think I can remember 10.
I think I can remember them all, but 5. The only series, I say my number 1, the only one I've actually bothered to rewatch in recent years, even as a fully grown adult, is Time Force. I just think from a narrative choice, the villain, the name escapes me, but his voice was amazing. Rancic. Yeah, I was like, there. It was there.
I was going to say Mesogog, but I think that's Dino Thunder.
Yeah,
that is Dino Thunder.
Yeah.
I knew something. Write it down. Put it on the scoreboard.
Rancic, the cast, the costumes, the theme, the intro. Like, what more can you say about Time Force that doesn't appeal? I think, even as an adult, I just think it was really cool. Power Rangers on home media hasn't been the most commercially available stuff. I know there have been releases. I'm talking specifically in the UK. I know there have been releases over the years, but I remember, me and George, we've spoke about this a few episodes, but you had the compilation sets where you had Forever Red, you had the special crossover, one episode from each series type release. You didn't have a full season of stuff. So for us back in the pre-technology days,
the swinging 2000s,
the swinging digital era,
you still can't get those series, by the way. If you were curious, I have tried everything after Mighty Morphin right the way up to I think around Dino Thunder. You just cannot get in this country.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know. It's expensive imports, and again, episodes are on YouTube, though, aren't they? But again, I don't think it's the whole seasons.
No, they are. They are uploading whole seasons because every episode was on Netflix, and then I don't know what
they
happened.
were on Netflix.
For whatever reason, Netflix didn't pay them enough for the rights or whatever, so they got taken off Netflix. And Hasbro, who owns it, have just said, right, well, we'll just upload everything to the official Power Rangers YouTube channel, so you can just watch them on there. Though there are like 2 lots of adverts in every episode if you don't have YouTube Premium, which is annoying.
$12.99, yay! Yeah, cheap plug. But no, so my number 1 would be Time Force, and then again, going back to eras, I'd say Power Rangers for me was 1998, year I was born, ironically, till 2005 SPD. I think that was my.
You were born on the day the first episode of In Space came out. I think we worked that out, didn't we?
Bloody hell, really?
That's why he's Andros.
Exactly. I think that's why we said it, because it turned out that, if I'm not wrong, your birthday in '98 was the first episode of Power Rangers in Space.
I thought you were going to say it's the day Zordon died.
It's the day you fucking killed him.
And I'll fucking do it again.
There has been a disturbance in the Force.
No, but in Space, for me, era-wise, it would be 98 to 2005. But I'd say so. Time Force,
that's your peak.
SPD, it would be number 2. I think, because that's another series where, not as an adult, I haven't rewatched it recently, but I remember I have basically seen the story arc episodes. I haven't seen some of the filler. I haven't watched it all in order, but I know beginning, middle, and end. Like, I know that show, and I just, again, love police. I love the police. I love the police. I love the dog.
He loves a man in uniform, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it Commander Crumb? Commander Crumb?
I don't know what kind of videos you've been watching.
It is Commander Anubis Doggy Kruger that you're thinking of.
I knew Kruger.
Kruger, yeah, the Shadow Ranger.
Yeah, Doggy Ranger.
001 with pointy ears.
It's 100.
Oh, 100. Fuck it. Maybe I watched it in a mirror. I read it backwards. I watched SPD backwards. DPS. Now, that sounds like a different kind of video. Let's.
This is such a random nerdy thing, but I love how they explain why his number is 100. By the way, because all the others have sensible ones like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the Roman numeral for 6, and then he's 100 because when he first morphed, he took down 100 foot soldiers in one fight. That's just like, that's badass.
That's cool. But then every kill, the number should go up. and then if you only you don't properly kill him, you get like a 0.5 or a 0.3.
7 points.
I'm Power Ranger 743.3 recurring.
Without a decimal point yet.
Yes. He's in intensive care. I'm waiting for him to die.
Can it just tick over by one at a random time? It's like, oh, that guy gone. There we go.
Yeah, and then like the numbers could change mid-fight. So like he starts the fight as 100, and then he's on like 270 by the end.
Connor, is your birthday February the 6th?
I will confirm. No, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it? Then you are born on the first episode of Power Rangers in Space. He's absolutely right.
There we go.
I am Andros confirmed right here.
They saw in the stars that you had to be Andros Essa. They were like, we must align these so that later. It was like, in Harry Potter where they prepare him like to be killed by Voldemort. Sabana prepared you to be launched in a rocket. He launched into space and fight some monsters on the moon.
Oh, there are only 2 genders. Oh.
What was you'd only done 3? Have you got
3.
You got another 2?
Okay, we went on around about me being born on the day of In Space. Okay, without really thinking about it too much, because those are the 3 I've got connections with. I would then go Mighty Morphin as number 4, and then perhaps Ninja Storm as number 5.
Ninja Storm.
Yeah, Ninja Storm.
I mean, we'll get back onto this, but I think Ninja Storm has bar the original. I think it has the best fucking theme song. Like, it's hard not to get pumped up listening to that. It makes me want to punch through some fucking dogs and kill some people.
You're just a sucker for a little
numbers.
You're a sucker for a little spoken word bit at the front, aren't you? Of the theme. You just love the fact that it goes deep within the mountains. Secret.
Because it's like like I know it's a kid show, but that is proper Saturday morning cartoon fucking Jackie Chan adventures when he's finding them fucking stone medallions. Like that's proper 3 who would become, and then it's just you get the first couple of riffs on the guitar, and I just want to backflip off my house. It's great.
I'm like that with the Lost Galaxy theme, by the way. That's the one that gets me like wanting to leap and break my roof.
After this, we'll do best theme songs, and then we'll actually talk about the thing that we're here to talk about. Have you done your 5?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I just said Ninja Storm was 5.
All right, Ninja Storm 5. Yeah.
My era, I think, most of mine are going to be from my prime, which is probably 2000 till about Mystic Force was the last. Like you, Mike, I was like, and this is not as good as it used to be. It's a bit shaky, and then I haven't watched a Power Ranger series in full since Mystic Force, but I've caught like the odd like big team up stuff, and sort of anytime something comes up and it's like, oh, this just happened in Power Rangers, it's like, oh, what's it doing now? It's like, I don't know who any of these people are or what's going on. Like Jungle Fury, Rhino Ranger really just grinds my gears because that morphing style is just, I don't know, it just fucking hurts my soul. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I just watch it and I'm like, because why has he got this fucking Yu-Gi-Oh hand? What's going on?
That's the Rhino morpher.
Oh, I don't like it.
It's just a morpher.
It's just a morpher. Not to me. How dare you stand where someone else probably stood? So for me, I think my 5th. This is hard because when I actually remember them, I'm like, I had a great time watching most of these.
That's the thing. I'd be better off telling you the ones I didn't like because I could make a case for all of them. I will say I do have a defense against why I don't have Time Force in my list, by the way, if you were curious, which is the opening credits make it look like it's going to be Doctor Who, basically. Like they're going to be traveling to all these time periods and there'll be 1 week in feudal Japan and 1 week facing dinosaurs. And all of that footage is from a single episode where they're actually on a film set and they never travel through time in the show. It's always just like, we're from the 30th century, but we are here in the 20th. And
doesn't the Quantum Ranger and Wes, they end up like traveling in that fucking wormhole, getting the fucking dinosaurs bit? Like it's the 2 of them, and then they come back.
Oh, yeah, that's where they find the Q-Rex, the Quantum Ranger Zord, because it was it was buried in prehistoric times.
I had that on VHS. That was good.
My brother had a few of the VHSs from back in then, the Time Force, Wild Force days, actually.
That's the thing. Wild Force, I love more for the merchandise because the toys were fucking phenomenal. Like the Saber, all the crystals, all the like Megazord. Like I wanted those Megazords so much. Like I'm so tempted with adult money to go on eBay and just buy them.
You'd be hard pressed to find them now. They're some of the rarer ones to find, unfortunately.
I
do have the Super Mega Force version of the Wild Force Lion though, which is pretty cool because it combines with the legendary Megazord to form the legendary Wild Force and Samurai Megazords.
Wow. Yeah, so I think Wild Force. Oh, I don't know. Come on. I
love Wild Force. I forgot how much I love the Lunar Wolf Ranger, and I should have put him on my team. And I've got the lightning.
And he has just the best human name, Merrick.
Merrick Balaton as well, which is just the weirdest name.
That is wicked. All right, I'll say Mighty Morphin number 5. Number 4, and this is all based off of personal preference. Don't at me, people. I just love this as a child. I'll say number 4 in space because I can just gel with that shit. Like I love it. I loves me a Red Ranger with a ponytail. What can I say?
Well, everybody seems to have loved the fact that the villain was the Red Ranger's sister, and that was the big twist. So I'm guessing that was part of what lured you in as well.
Oh yeah, but I didn't care about that as a kid. I was like, fuck that. Just show me fights.
The Millennium Falcon's a Megazord. That's all I want to see.
Yeah, it was very Falcon-like, wasn't it?
It really just is the Millennium Falcon. They're not even hiding it.
What if we took the Millennium Falcon and painted it blue? Fantastic.
Put a giant M in the middle of it and stuck a space shuttle on its head.
Yes.
Mega Zord.
Fuck it, and then make it fight in slow motion because space is very slow. Slow space. What could in Space 4? I'd say. Oh god, there's so many. I want to put them all at the top. Oh, this is horrible.
I know. Tell me what you made me do it.
Dino Thunder number 3. But like that's the last time I was fully into it was Dino Thunder because that was my shit. And watching that episode, I was like, oh yeah, like this is all one thing of the clip show. Like this is all one continuity, and that's the same bloke. But now he can only wear long sleeves because of his tattoos.
Exactly. Sorry to keep derailing this, but did you ever see the episode of Dino Thunder where they just watched an episode of their Japanese counterpart on the TV?
I feel like I have because I definitely watched all of that season.
Yeah, it's so weird that they did that. They had the Rangers just go in and they're like, this is a show from Japan, but it looks like us. And they just literally just play an episode of what's called ABBA Ranger, which gave Dino Thunder its footage just on the TV, just to give them, I guess, to give the other actors a week off because they'd only had to film insert shots of like, oh, wow, they know what we look like. That's unbelievable. Kind of thing.
Oh, no. They know what we look like.
How do they know I have a triceratops? Oh, no.
It's the Power Rangers equivalent of giving William Hartnell that week off to just film with another bloke that's a robot.
Basically,
We've made a copy of the Doctor who looks nothing like the Doctor.
What is
That's
this?
so funny.
Susan, they know what I look like. They know that I've got a TARDIS. What was I talking about? Yeah, Dino Thunder. Oh, I love Dino Thunder so much. I appreciate Ninja Storm a lot more now, so I'm tempted to go for that as number 2. But I can't disrupt Wild Force because that's I think number 2 because I think like for me Lightspeed Rescue is very weak. Like that is weak sauce.
That grew on me a lot, I'll be honest. At first, I was like, I'm not sure, but now I kind of really gel with it, I'll be honest.
Maybe I need to rewatch.
Costume design, I think that's the bottom. I don't like the Lightspeed Rescue costumes.
That's fine. You can hate the special forces. That's fine.
It was the fact that they were trying to be too realistic, but that is the nature of like that. Again, that's the footage.
That's the nature of Americans.
No, but they were given like we don't want to do anything too overly magical, so everything kind of has to look like it could be a rescue squad.
Yeah.
And when you look at it as like, this is kind of just Thunderbirds, I guess.
Yes.
And you kind of appreciate it much more because you're like, now I get what you were going for.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Fighting demons.
But for me, like I loved Time Force and Wild Force after that, so it was like. I think was Ninja Storm after Wild Force.
Yes, it was.
2003. Yeah, that's 3 back-to-back bangers.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say Wild Force.
I don't think it was right after Ninja Storm as well, dude.
Wild Force was 2001 before Wild.
Fucking 4. Jesus.
4 years.
And SPD was right after Dino Thunder.
Oh,
5 years.
SPD, I think is just Time Force, but not as good. I love Time Force more because it's just my jam. It's my first one. It's my top. Like I love it. Like I love the whole fucking. We did DNA from you because you're exactly the same, but you've got different hair. And...
You're clearly not the same.
My ancestor from 1,000 years ago.
Yes. and he'll be back in the finale, and then. There'll be some questionable body doubles in green screen, maybe? I don't know.
Let's not get into the fact that they're probably, that she's probably in a relationship with her own great-great-grandfather or something. Because if Wes and Jen got together and he's Wes's ancestor down the years.
Yeah.
Kids show, everybody.
Kids show, incest, time travel.
In space.
Okay. Best theme songs.
Okay.
I would say, if I'm going to say, I probably can't put them in an order, but I think I love Ninja Storm.
Okay.
Lost Galaxy slaps.
Mm-hmm.
I think In Space is like a dark horse. Like it's quite close for me. Like those 3, I think are just like get them on a fucking playlist, and I'll fight some men.
I may or may not already have that playlist in my phone on Spotify.
Oh,
some men. Hello, puddies, just men.
No, yeah. You there, boy.
Let me beat you up.
Let's get our groove on.
What would you say, Mike? What's your favourite theme song?
Well, my favourite's definitely Lost Galaxy.
I just, for me, I apologize for saying that it's bad. It's just all my friends and me didn't really watch it, so we're like, it's just not the same, because that was the first one that it didn't carry straight over, wasn't it? It like they all kind of led into each other, and then it was like, and now on a faraway planet, and sword in the
no, it's not at all. It definitely followed straight on. It's just it wasn't using. It was very loosely continuity. But I mean, if you watch the pilot of Lost Galaxy, they are going from Earth in a what's the word, like a Terraventure, which is kind of a. Oh, dang it. I'm losing the word for some reason. Like a space colony, basically, to try to find a far off planet because Earth's getting overpopulated. And you see that Bulk goes on with them from Angel Grove. That's where they take off from. And the Astro megaship that used to belong to the Space Rangers goes with them and gets parked in their kind of garage on this space station. So, and then obviously later in the episode, you have the first big crossover when the Space and Galaxy Rangers fight together, which is a cracking episode, by the way. So yeah, I mean, it is the same continuity. It's just it wasn't really.
The Pink Ranger, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's a weird story, but it's also really sweet when you know the backstory, because the actress who played the original Pink Ranger basically got breast cancer, and she had to not film because she was getting chemo and stuff at the time. But the people that make the show, the producers and stuff, were like, well, we're not going to hold it against you and fire you. So she still got credited as a main cast member for the entire show, and the replacement Pink Ranger was credited as a guest star, and that was the previous astronomer, Andros's sister, now a Pink Power Ranger. And then at the end of the season, having killed her off so she could go and get chemo, with her fully recovered, when they got to their new planet, it was like, and magically, the dead Pink Ranger is back. Haha, she always knew you would rescue her from death. I was like, okay, I'll buy it, whatever.
Oh, that's quite sweet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else? What other theme songs are getting your groove on?
Lost Galaxy. My number two you won't have heard, but it's Dino Charge, which is so good. If you've never heard it, it's
Sing to us.
I could not do it justice, but it starts off with like African tribal type drums, just going like Power Rangers, Power Rangers. Then it splits into like this badass lyrics that like, in a world full of strife, we must fight to survive. Try to break the chains that divide.
Yeah, actually, I will back you up, because post RPM, post like 2006, when I sort of tuned out Power Rangers and life happened, I haven't really glimpsed any of the other shows, but I've sort of glimpsed the title sequences for each series. But yeah, Dino Charge, or it is Dino Charge, you just said, right? Because
Dino Charge number two, yeah.
It is, yeah. I think that song would grow on me if I was a youngster watching it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool because I mean it also followed after Samurai and Megaforce literally just did Go Power Rangers, Power Rangers, Megaforce. Just like like the laziest thing. Like they just got somebody in to like, okay, we're gonna play back the Mighty Morphin theme, and then when we point to you, we just want you to say the name of this series. Go Power Rangers, Megaforce.
Go Power Rangers, Mystic Force. Oh fuck, that was years ago.
Mystic Force is a contender for worst theme. I hate that.
Here come the Power Rangers, Mystic Force.
All right, let's stop. It's time to turn it on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Here come the Power Rangers. Here come the Power Rangers, Mystic Force.
Oh, my number 3. My number 3, which won't please you, George, is Jungle Fury. If only because it genuinely.
Jungle Fury.
It genuinely, with poor-faced seriousness, contains the line "Die she, go away," where you're to save the day, which I just love.
Die she, go away.
No, I cannot forgive such a thing. Pick another one.
They're strong, unstoppable, though, George.
I don't give a fuck. Yu-Gi-Oh's the Rhino. Go. Fucking Rhino.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
So that's
my number 3. My number 4 would actually be the Mighty Morphin theme, but I particularly love the extended, like the full 3-minute version, which starts with "They've got a power and a force that you've never seen before."
Slightly redeemable. Are there any honourable ones that you'd say?
Well, I've only given 4.
Yeah, I mean, just like, We just want you to sing, Mike. Sing.
My fifth would be Power Rangers in space. I'm trying to think if there are. Well, like I said, Megaforce and Samurai are just Mighty Morphin again.
I think Turbo.
Zeo is virtually Mighty Morphin again. Turbo's terrible, dude.
Yeah, because it's just Power Rangers Turbo go. Power Rangers Turbo go.
It's not about getting you pumped up with the whole shift into turbo. Oh, and then it just splits into go Power Rangers Turbo, go Power Rangers.
Yeah, and I think what they should have done is every episode, a different Ranger should have stalled. And they're just right at the back of the group shot. I'll catch you on the next one, guys.
Oh, bless.
Time Force, I think, as much as I love it, I think Time Force is not a great theme tune. Time Force, Power Rangers, Time Force, Time Force, Power Rangers,
I should have mentioned it before now, but I'll make it my number 6 honorable mention. Lightspeed Rescue has a surprisingly awesome theme tune, actually.
How did that one go?
Power Rangers, Lightspeed Rescue.
Power Rangers, Lightspeed Rescue.
You're insisting on making me sing here, aren't you? It starts with the signal is calling, our planet is falling, the danger will test you, better make it Lightspeed Rescue. Come on, anytime you can rhyme like that.
I don't listen to the lyrics, Mike. I just sing the
Mike,
song.
you're saying it as if it's a casual conversation, as if we're two for the group men as opposed
because I can't sing. But it also has like then it goes into like Lightspeed Rescue for a bit. Then it has a bridge where it just stops and goes, "Powers on the way, Rangers save the day." So, yeah,
Power Rangers, Lightspeed Rescue.
Lightspeed, go.
Dino Thunder's okay. Protect yourself the ride.
In a world full of... Nope, sorry, the wrong one.
Power Rangers score. What are they scoring?
That's right. That one starts with "There's a light in the distance.
See them coming closer with the Force Rangers. Centuries combined. Protectors of the right.
With something, yeah.
Defenders sworn to fight.
Defenders sworn to fight, yeah.
Power Rangers roar.
Power
Rangers score. Save us from these evil forces.
Win.
Power Rangers, Dino Thunder.
Victory is ours forevermore.
Power Rangers, Dino Thunder.
I do actually have that full series on DVD and Mystic Force. I will say.
What else? Fuck! I've literally forgotten.
Wild Force.
Wild Force is good. Actually, Wild Force is good. Could have done.
I like the distorted Wild Force access. Wild Force, Power Rangers, protect this world together.
That's one of them.
Fight everyone.
That's one that works so much better with the visuals, though, because I can't hear it without picturing like Princess Shayla
when they're all in the circle and they jump, and then the magic balls that flash in the sky.
The key part being Merrick's credit, though, when he the guy who plays him turns around and like the wind whooshes and his like curtains in his hair just go like
Wild Force running faster.
Style,
Power Rangers stick together. We will save the day. Wild Force success. Wild Force power. Wild Force sexist. That's the fucking lyric.
Ironically, one of the least sexist seasons. They haven't female leader for a while.
You're the most homophobic Power Ranger in London.
You're the most devious bastard in all of Turtle Cove.
Turtle Cove and Angel Grove. What a lazy piece of writing, but it floats in the sky, so it must be all right.
But it's an actual turtle.
Yeah, I know, but naming wise, they were like Angel Grove, Turtle Cove. Where's my stove?
Where's my stove?
Incidentally, there is a scene in the new special when they activate the Bandora protocol, so named because which Bandora is the Japanese equivalent of Rita Repulsa, where they cycle through and the names of 5 of the cities where other series take place comes up. So, nerdy spot.
We should talk about that in a minute by finishing with the fact that Ninja Storm wins everything. Triple platinum.
Triple platinum.
Oh, bless you.
Do you know, and as I'm sitting here saying how good it is, I've forgotten how it starts.
It starts with narration. I already told you this.
Who would become Go Power Rangers, go Ninja Storm, let's go.
protectors.
Oh, here we go.
Scrolls told of 3 who would be chosen above
Mike, I'm crouched like a tiger on the window. Oh, it's so 2000s. Oh, no, boss, getting strong.
The show is so 2000s. They all do extreme sports.
Dirt bikes, surfing, people walking on the beach,
Skateboarding.
Wheelies.
There's a bloke called Dustin, and there's a CGI hamster.
I'm going to stop that there before you get copyright struck for that.
Ah, fuck it. We sung over it. It's fine. CGI hamster. Fucking. You've got the Lion Zord is somehow a roller coaster. It's all fucking good, baby. Everything is not what it seems. Dustin, Laurie. The other one, Shane, yeah, sure. I don't fucking know.
Shane, Dustin, Tori, Hunter, Blake, and Cameron.
Hunter Blake. You can't get more 2000s names than Hunter and Blake. Cam's the smart one. He hangs out with the hamster.
It's his
Why
son.
was it Cam in Once and Always? For God's sake.
Because they haven't made a Lightning Collection figure of him yet. I told you this.
I don't get. No, I want the hamster to be blown up and become Zordon's head. Superimpose the hamster into the jar.
That's not.
Let's do that.
Animal cruelty.
And let's talk about Power Rangers Once and Always.
I had so many things I was going to talk about with you guys, but we'll just have to do it another time. I've watched so many things that I was going to review, and then I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
We knew this was just going to descend into Power Rangers chaos.
Fair enough.
So technically movie, not just TV special, because they're classing it as a movie, even though it's 55 minutes and criminally short. Much like the hamster in Ninja Storm, criminally short. Should have had stilts.
R.I.P. that actor, by the way. That actor passed away years ago.
Oh no! Oh fuck! We killed him.
He did the dual role of the hamster, as you call him, and the bad guy from that season because they're supposed to be brothers. So he played both.
Really?
Yeah.
They're brothers. Fucking, what did their parents look like?
Well, the guy wasn't actually a hamster. He was a Japanese gentleman that got turned into a hamster.
Japanese gentleman. Hello there. I'm Japanese gentleman. This is my formal wear.
I mean, he was cured at the end of the series and turned back human.
This isn't even my final form.
Japanese gentleman.
What?
Hello there, I'm Japanese gentleman.
He had a name, Sensei Watanabe, I believe.
That's not his name anymore. Oh, fuck it.
You're going to look at the hamster and think Japanese gentleman.
Fucking, now we're going to make some Japanese gentleman merch and then be closed down for being racist. All right. That's really fucking tickled me.
I can tell.
Mike, your thoughts when was this announced? Like last year?
A while ago, yeah. I can't remember when exactly. They did come out with because they announced it via a video with Zach, Billy, and Rocky and Kat. The main
David Yost, Walter Emmanuel Jones.
That's right. Yeah.
The guy that plays Rocky, which
Steve Cardenas.
Steve, my penis, and
and Catherine Sutherland, who plays Catherine.
Yes, that one. Yes, I remember.
Not related to Keeper.
Can I just say, I think Rocky's a better Red Ranger than Jason, and not just because of the tax fraud.
Just because Jason couldn't actually travel for the special because he's under probation at the moment.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, Austin St. John, more like Austin St. fucking Dick.
Yeah, I used to like Jason a lot. Well, still do like Jason a lot, even despite the actor. But yeah,
I
mean,
I got a real buzz when he came back for Zeo.
Yeah, for the Gold Ranger powers.
That was like, oh, that's a nice bit of thing, and it was lovely. And then, and then being a dick in real life, it's a shame because I didn't know, and I was like, oh, he didn't travel.
Which very recent, like I said, he did come back for Beast Morphers, which was only the season before the last Dino Fury, and he was literally the only Mighty Morphin Ranger they brought back. Even though they
because
used
he killed the rest of them.
No, they used footage from the Japanese special, which combined all of the 3 at the time dinosaur series. But every one of the others was just still fully morphed and clearly just a stunt person. And you had Jason at the front, like, look at my cool dinosaur army. It's morphin' time. Like, make them say something, Jason.
I honestly thought you said, look at my cool dinosaur arms.
Given that he's a T-Rex, they wouldn't be that cool. But...
Look at my dinosaur arms. They're all scaly. I am Jason, the scaly dinosaur arm. That's why they didn't bring him back. He's got a dinosaur arm.
My arms are too short, you guys.
And the only donor was his dinosaur. Oh, he's in the hospital.
Jurassic arm.
That's what really happened to Jason. Welcome to Jurassic Arm.
Rawr.
I think also, like I said to you, I know the Beast Morpher thing, but Green Ranger, surely he'd want to be the white one because that was the good one, and that's what he was.
Well, you say that, but like Jason Frank, even before he passed away, R.I.P., used to always say that he preferred the Green Ranger powers to the others, even including the white. And I think the whole point was that they were going back as far as they possibly could to like the first season. So even people who hadn't watched since season 1 wouldn't be fully lost. Like they kept it within continuity with other references that you could appreciate if you'd watched them all like a big nerd like me. But there's also nothing where you would be lost. Whereas if people hadn't watched the second season and a White Ranger was randomly appearing, they might be like, who's that? What's going on there?
What do you think, though, especially in America? And I'm not saying like the Americans at the time didn't watch Mighty Morphin when it was airing, but do you think, like, I know in my case, people might have grown up on the Mighty Morphin movie. I mean, Turbo, don't give it a second chance. People do not find it. But the Mighty Morphin movie, I know for me, I'd seen episodes of the series, but my prior memories of Mighty Morphin are the movie, rightfully or wrongfully, whatever. But when I see when I see Tommy, I think white as opposed to green. And when I think green, I just think of him playing his little flute before he calls in his package.
Where's my dinosaur arms?
That's why the first green, he wants to play the little flute.
It's a weird situation because, like you said, Tommy's come back so many times, and yet he's basically a different power every time. Like he's in Forever Red as the Red Zeo, then he's in Dino Thunder as their Black Ranger, and then he comes back as the Green. Then he's suddenly got this morpher that lets him become whichever one he wants, and then it's just all right, whatever.
All of the Tommies,
all of the dinosaur arms. I may be old, but I can still pull it off. Oh yes.
Yeah, I really should send you the clip because it's one of those similar kind of badass moments in Super Ninja Steel because they're fighting robot clones of themselves because, of course, they are. And he's fighting the Black Dino Thunder clone, smashes its helmet and sees like the Tommy robot underneath and just goes, yeah, you may look like me, but unless you got a master morpher, you're nothing but a cheap coffee. Seal Ranger Red.
Wicked. Wicked. What a guy. What a man.
Legend, man. Legend.
Oh, definitely. Because Amy Jo Johnson and Jason turned down an opportunity to be in it. That's what I read. Is that true?
Yes and no. Well, Amy Jo has refused to be sort of drawn on the exact reasoning, but she just said she didn't refuse to appear. Yeah, pterodactyl ones at that. I mean, no. No, she said she didn't refuse to appear. She just wasn't given an offer that was what she would consider fair. And like as I was mentioning to you guys earlier,
money.
The point was that basically they were asked, if you want to be in it, you've got to fly yourself to New Zealand, basically. And she's like, no, but all right.
Which is a shame, because is she the only Mighty Morphin one that's not come back, or has she come back?
Oh no, she hasn't come back. Actually, no, since. But in fairness, though, she did announce, like just after the special, that she's writing with her current boyfriend a Mighty Morphin comic for the 30th anniversary. So she is kind of still getting herself involved in that way, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, her own fucking leisure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to be fair, she is a really kind of renowned director and stuff these days, and she just directed episodes of like Superman and Lois and stuff. So, like, if you've got a chance of doing that for really good pay, or do you want to fly yourself to New Zealand and film? It will give you a couple $100. You know, you're going to be like, maybe not.
Yeah, but it was enough for David and Walter, wasn't it? So,
what else are they doing now? You know what I mean?
You leave David Yost and his need for Just for Men alone. All right.
David Yost, to be fair to him, was the idea that originated with him of doing a 30th anniversary special like this. He didn't end up writing it, but he had a similar idea that he did write and has since released, like, if you want to read my script for what was called like Quantum Continuum or something, here's what I would have done for the special. I'm like, all right, cool. Never read it. But...
Was it big differences from what we got?
I've got no idea. I didn't read it.
Ah, damn it. You're meant to fucking read it now aloud.
I opened the file and it was like, this is page 1 of 1,000 or whatever. And then I just became that meme, which is just like, that's appalling or possibly good for you. I ain't reading all that.
But his John Barrowman hair aside, what was we talking about? Was
I forgot.
Yes. So I believe Jason said no because it was like, I've done enough for the franchise. I'm not doing this one or something like that.
Yeah, he announced before he passed away that he was done playing Tommy because, like I said, he's come back so many times, and I think he was also getting the sense there were some sections of the fandom that are less than kind to him and stuff. And I'd have been the same. I'd have been like, well, if you're going to be ungrateful twats, fuck it. So he was like, I want to distance myself from it, so I'm never going to come back to it. But I'm very grateful for Power Rangers and everything it's done. But you know, my time playing Tommy is at an end. And he's also doing another project, or was, with the YouTube company Bat in the Sun, to be the star of an actual movie called Legend of the White Dragon, which he was kind of putting all of his focus in as the lead of that, which, I mean, it's basically just Power Rangers, but with different costumes. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But yeah, and it's way more adult. It's like full-on martial arts action, R-rated-ish kind of thing. And it is still coming out for what it's worth. So, but yeah, he was kind of focusing very much on like, I'm now moving on to this project. I'm putting my time into this, and then I'm going to do other things. And he was running karate schools and bits and pieces. So I think he was just like, it's time to step away now. You know? So.
It's a shame because it would have been nice to sort of have him involved in it, because he's a big part as much as he was secondary in terms of like the 5 that started it. He is a big reason why Mighty Morphin sort of found a new gear and carried on, kind of thing, because it could have easily become a show that went stale and didn't go anywhere, but it
completely. I mean, that's a whole other completely. This again, I don't know if you know this story, but feel free to cut it because it's probably boring. But they weren't going to have Tommy back in Power Rangers at all, because the Green Ranger in the footage they used basically died in the Japanese show, which is why he's like loses his powers partway, or he's always like, oh, the others are there, but I suddenly have misplaced my communicator, and oh, I'm sorry guys, I've got karate class, so I'm not with you during this fight and stuff. So so they weren't going to bring him back at all. They were going to what became VR Troopers was going to be called Cybertron, presumably until Transformers sued, and he was going to be the lead of that show. So they had him like all set up to be the role that eventually went to Brad Hawkins as the head VR Trooper. Then when he became so stupidly popular and it was quite clear like people are watching mainly for this guy, that's when they were like, Brad Hawkins, swap, you're now on VR Troopers. JDF, you're now the White Power Ranger. We're bringing you back. So it's
whether you like it or not.
I know, Zordon. I know.
So yeah, what were we saying? So no, but it is. That's what I was going to say about the special. Is it's a shame that obviously it was kind of in the can before we lost Jason, and not that long ago, JDF, and it sucks because the special was kind of dedicated to giving a wrap up for Twee Trang as Trini. And it works really well in that regard, but you're now marred by the fact that they don't address Jason not being around, and Tommy's kind of still always there, and they do the whole because again they've referenced in past seasons he's since married Catherine, and they have a kid called JJ, and there's lots of references to that, and like, don't worry, he'll be fine and be back with you and your son. And I'm like, I mean, they did stick a tribute sort of thing at the end, like this is for Twee and for Jason, rest in peace. But it just feels so weird to give all of the time devoted completely to addressing the loss of the original Yellow Ranger, who we lost in 2000.
And also Tommy, bye-bye.
Because they didn't, they couldn't have written that in because they didn't know that was going to happen at the time, but it's just kind of like, oh, God.
But it would have possibly been softened if had he actually had the chance to, if this had been the last thing he'd done as Tommy, I think that would have been a bit of a, a nice wrap up, because then, you don't have a reason to bring him back because you wrapped up that whole thing with the original Rangers and you can kind of let them be.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Sorry to cut you off. I'm glad you explained about Tommy and Cat, because I got the assumption, because again, my gap in Power Ranger knowledge was vast. But that's why I thought Tommy and Kat. In my mind, I thought Tommy and Kimberly were always a thing.
They were, but during Zeo, Kimberly wrote him a Dear John letter, and he got with Catherine, and that's kind of stuck since in the continuity. So that's what they're going with.
Okay, fine. But who is this JJ? Are we supposed to know? Does he ever turn up in the mythos, or is he just an original? Like, oh yeah, I've had a
yes
kid.
and no, yes and no. He turns up in. There's a comic again because Power Rangers expanded into IDW comics a few years back, and they took off in a huge way. So they're currently like the biggest moneymaker for IDW. So they did a comic called Soul of the Dragon, which had him as the main character, and it's set in like the future, and he becomes the Green SPD Ranger with the dragon shield on and stuff, because they can do that, so why not? But no, in terms of the TV series, I think you briefly hear him during the last crossover because Tommy's going into his house to collect Kat because she's in it, and then you just hear him going like, or Kat or Tommy saying like, well, put your bike away, JJ, and him going, yeah, we'll do it, Mom, yeah, relax. And that's the extent of his appearance in the series.
It's oh, Goofy.
Of course, there, Dad.
You guys just insult my acting all the time.
You were so cool. You made me want to go fight men.
Can I wear long sleeves all the time too?
You guys are such jerks.
My friend Mickey won't approve, but I'll keep it a secret if you can, Dad.
All right, now we're stressing it. We're fucking straying into something that I don't want to be in now. I don't like this. Let's turn around. So the plot of Once and Always is. Do you want to do it?
Man, the plot.
Go on then.
So this is kind of like a 30th anniversary special.
Wrong. It is a 30th anniversary special.
No, I was going to say a 30th anniversary special for all of the Rangers. Essentially, for what we've described as like a Power Rangers crossover episode with every Rangers and every team incarnation.
But they're all not in it.
Exactly, they're not in it. Essentially, it's a Mighty Morphin 30th anniversary special, but mainly told, as we've discussed over the last 5 minutes, with some interruptions, mainly told from Billy and Zach's perspective. Really, and Trini's daughter.
And Trini obviously is the central character, but isn't there?
Yeah. Trini's legacy character in the form of her daughter, who is from what I understand, an original character for this film. We didn't know she existed before, but obviously, she must have done. But it's weird, like I said, that they address this whole loss of Tui Trang when that happened in the year 2000 when Time Force was airing. Yet we just lost Jason David Frank, and the episode doesn't touch on that at all. And I know the reasons why, like behind the scenes reasons it was filmed before it happened, etc. But it still feels weird when you're watching it, and it's like, ooh, you're spending. It feels like you're getting 55 minutes of like, wasn't the Yellow Ranger great? The original Yellow Ranger, we miss her. We can't believe we've lost her. It's terrible. The Yellow Ranger. Oh, and also we lost Tommy. It's just like,
that's like you say, because in terms of the narrative, Tommy's still alive.
Just
exactly.
Yeah. Because they use a couple of voice clips, don't they? From
they use voice clips for all of the ones that aren't there. Yeah,
especially Jason's one is so obvious.
Oh, I mean, they all are.
It's morphin' time. It's like that is just from the 90s. Like, whereas Jason David Frank, I don't think has ever sounded any different. So you could kind of think that, maybe like that's from a crossover that's just happened, or like maybe they got him in for it. Like, you could believe that if, in terms of him, because I think he just always sounds the same.
It's morphin' time, I suppose. Yeah.
Whereas Red Ranger is clearly, obviously, that is from episode 1.
2 seconds.
A lot tougher than the last one we defeated. Oh, I am! And I brought an army, too! Army? That's not an army. Huh? A power coin? This is an army.
My dinosaur arms.
Jason. It's morphin' time.
There you go. I just wanted to point out that there was a clip of him saying it's morphin time from like 2 years ago. So why they didn't use it, I do not know.
Yeah, because like that one in the special was clearly here's episode 1 of Mighty Morphin. We just fucking dragged that and dropped it.
Yeah.
Because with the like Mighty Morphin, like I think Billy's always sort of been like a fan favorite, hasn't he?
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, he's always been one. I think it depends on who you were as a kid, because I was always kind of the nerdy kid, so I appreciated Billy as, you know, the nerdy. And it was kind of nice that they started off with him being the kind of annoying, stereotypical, oh, you so don't get social things and you can't talk to women and you've got the glasses and everything. But they gradually made him less and less of a joke and more of a like, yeah, all right, calm down. So I appreciated that, I think, as well, you know.
Yeah. And Zach having stuff to do is great, because I think he's an underutilized Power Ranger from what I know.
Well, he left, I mean, along with Twee and Austin, the original red, yellow, and black, which is how you got Rocky, Adam, and Aisha to replace.
Yeah, because there was a magic sword. And the sword transferred the power. I remember that happened. Yes,
it certainly had nothing to do with those 3 actors walking off set and then them having to use audio clips for a solid 10 episodes because they weren't there. Which, if you know that, by the way, and you go back and watch season 2, blatantly obvious, because there's so many episodes where they're just like, that? It's nobody really knows the exact ins and outs, but effectively we think it was like a salary dispute or something. And basically they were like strength in numbers. So for whatever reason, those 3 were like, we've had enough of this. We're working long hours. We're not getting enough money. Saban, if you want us back, you're going to have to give us a better offer. And they walked off set. And then, like I said, they were in the middle of filming episodes, and it was production can't just stop. So they have Sentai footage, and they've got Kimberly, Billy, and Tommy, and that's what they've got to work with. So, like I said, there's a few episodes where you can blatantly tell, because it does the plot of the week, and Bulk and Skull, what are you up to, and whatever, with just those 3, and then randomly it'll cut into the middle of a Power Rangers fight and just go, Zordon, contact Jason, Trini, and Zach, who are over there, and get them to morph into battle with us. And it's like, yes, I have. Don't worry.
Don't worry. You're not Amazon Prime. You'll be on their way.
They will meet you inside of the Megazord. Don't worry. It's fine.
Yes, the car's running. Just waiting.
Just refueling.
Hairdryer, yes.
They introduced Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, about 4 or 5 episodes before they became Rangers, clearly with a just like, all right, stay gone from the set then, you jerks. We'll just replace you. So, because that's how these things work with corporations.
Well, and then it introduced the whole thing of like having sort of the handoff, because then you had the handoff in Turbo. You had then like obviously then those lot will go into inspect and so on and so on. But I really like Rocky. I think it's because one of the first Mighty Morphin things I saw was the movie, and obviously he's the Red Ranger in that.
Yeah.
So I have a stronger affinity for Rocky, and judging by the sound of Austin St. John's now convictions, it's like that's probably a good choice. Trini's obviously a shame, but I like that Aisha's in it as well as Adam.
I have real issue with that, because it just seemed so pointless. I felt like that was just like it felt like they'd rang up enough people to try to get a team of 5 together, and we're like, if we have too many, we'll just come up with a way to get them in. And it was so stupid. It was like they appeared for a total of about 3 minutes on a screen the first time, and then just there to go like, I'm so glad you guys won the battle we weren't involved in. We were off fighting the Trubian Empire over in space.
Sorry, it would be about 31 hours before we're in teleport range. Billy, thank you for that cloaking tech. Oh, very good.
Which feels like an Easter egg to comics or something. But on their uniform, it was SPA, but in the font of the Space Patrol Delta. So are they meant to be like Space Patrol Alpha or something?
They are Space Patrol Alpha, which presumably, although it's not explicitly stated, is the predecessor to Space Patrol Delta, because they do say, as I mentioned, as I kind of alluded to there, they say that they're off fighting the Trubian Empire, which is the main villain group from SPD. So, and SPD is set in 2025, which at the time of airing was 20 years later, but now is literally in 2 years. So they kind of have to catch up with that now,
Different universe, yes. Different planet, different Earth. And obviously, like having all of the Rangers apart from obviously the 2 that have passed and Kimberly. That was, at least we got that and that whole sort of closure to the whole Mighty Morphin story and mythos. Yeah. I think my main complaint of this is it's just too short, and as such, it is so fast paced. Like I'm like, but I want more of it. Slow down a bit. Let me just think.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that's budget and stuff, because like I said, you've got to remember that if you have like a normal 22-minute episode, a solid chunk of that is Japanese footage that they just cut and paste in. Whereas this has, with the exception of like the scene of Rita from the pilot waking up in her dumpster, there's no Japanese footage at all. This is all stuff that they filmed, including the in-costume fights, the CGI Megazord and everything. And that ain't cheap. I think that's probably why they call it a movie, because it's like it would have probably had a feature film budget to be able to do it.
Yeah. No, it's understandable. You enjoyed this a lot, didn't you, Mike? Because I remember when this first came out and you'd put on Discord that you're like, yeah, you liked it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, like I've mentioned to you kind of off air, like there are certain sections of the fandom that are complaining about things which I would call churlish and stupid. Like, oh, the Megazord fight looked rubbish. I don't like CGI. I prefer the suits and stuff. And it's like, you're never happy, are you? You know, you guys, so entitled sometimes.
Some people are never happy with anything.
Yeah, but I loved, as kind of Connor was alluding to, I loved the way that it was accessible enough if you've only seen Mighty Morphin, but for the hardcore nerds like me, it still didn't break continuity. Like, it wasn't as if they randomly had Zordon appear there and just didn't explain how he was back. And, you know, they had his tube with the crack there where presumably... Yeah, I originally thought that might have been where Andros smashed it, Connor. But then, you know, turns out it's, you know, no, that was Billy trying to get Zordon back kind of thing. And even the fact that they used, you know, it wasn't Rita, it was her evil essence inside of a robot, because they had to clarify, no, the Z wave had purified Rita at the end of In Space, and we kind of have to roll with that. So, you know, so yeah, I like that it was... Go ahead.
Sorry, that was not to cut you off. That was another question I had about Rita. Like, why was she a robot as such? Because I know, like you just said, she got purified at the end of In Space. Is that how? So she don't. Not that I know the endings of all these shows, but she didn't like get defeated in Mighty Morphin originally. That she just
no. The whole point was that In Space basically had, although Astronomer was the main baddie, they had what's called the United Alliance of Evil, which was all of the previous villains. So they had like an alliance of the Machine Empire and Diva Tox and obviously Rita and Zed. And so at the end when Andros, aka you, killed Zordon like a jerk. But yeah, his wave was seen kind of spreading across the galaxy, and it vaporized, you know, certain things like Goldar and the bad guys, and then like Divatox and the human-looking ones, including Rita and Zed, were purified and became like, we're now in white suit and dress and flowing happily, and life is great now. We have been purified. But like I said, the fact that they addressed that and explained in the special that it's not Rita, she was still purified and is still purified, but whatever, you know, that evil essence had to go somewhere, and it was scattered throughout, you know, space or whatever, and now that essence is basically, it took over Alpha 8, I think it was at that point, and then just reconfigured that robot body through magic or whatever into Robo Rita. That'll do.
Was it original actress?
It was the original voice actress, absolutely, and you can tell she's so good. It was the same voice actor who played Alpha, but for whatever reason, he just sounds so different now. So I could not. I thought, like, that's so weird, because everyone was like, "Oh, it's so good that they got the original Alpha and Rita, because those voices are so iconic." And I'm like, Alpha sounds nothing like that he used to do.
Alpha sounds like someone doing an Alpha impression.
Yeah, there's like a throatiness to it that's like, Rangers, get to your assigned station. I'm like, that's
like fucking Alpha was very smoking for the last 30 years.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas, as you said, Barbara Goodman's Rita is.
Has anyone got my vape? Aye. Hold on.
Oh dear. But no, I mean, Barbara Goodson's, she's a legend. She does conventions and signings and stuff all the time, and she used to do a lot of them with Robert Axelrod, who voiced Lord Zed, who we've also since lost, unfortunately, because he also had the most iconic voice, and it's a shame because, as I mentioned earlier, they're using Zed in Cosmic Fury now, and the guy they've got to do him just sounds wrong because it's not the guy, you know. But yeah,
okay,
anyway. That's a shame.
I'm going to search out of curiosity now, but yeah.
It's weird that Cranston Industries is just the base, and that's
center. Yeah.
It's like really awkward place to have a business.
It's a nice touch, though. I mean, they do at least specify the command center's underground and nobody knows it's there.
Yeah, like those people upstairs that we don't see.
This is gonna be me just keep asking about the lore. But when did Cranston Technologies happen? Is that a thing that happened in the other seasons? Or
we have no idea. The last we heard of Billy within the canon of the show is that he had to go to Aquitar because, again, David Yost at that point had walked off set because he was getting a lot of homophobic abuse, unfortunately. So, he had left, and they had a plot where they basically had this 70-odd-year-old actor appear and be like, "Oh no, Billy, you've aged terribly because of the events of Alien Rangers and stuff," which I won't get into. So what are we going to do now? And then it transpired that he has to go to Aquitar and live with those people until he gets his youth back. And we can see him. He will say goodbye on the viewing globe, but unfortunately, the signal is so poor that he will look nothing like David Yost. So don't ask questions.
Almost like it's not David Yost.
Yeah. So
and then he came back. He got some regain, and he's all good.
But it was nice that they had an allusion to that, because I think at the end of the special, I think it's Aisha does say, "Oh, when are you going to get back to Aquitar? Sestria does miss you." And that was like, he'd stayed on there because he'd fallen in love with this Aquitian woman. So, okay.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Like, I said to Connor, like, I'm not expecting like Academy Award level acting, but some of it was like, even this is too cheesy for Power Rangers. Like some of it was like, because I think what they gave Zach was good, and I think his delivery didn't help a lot of it. But I think Billy was kind of shafted by what he was like fucking made to say. I don't know if that's an acting choice, but like it just felt a bit sort of like.
I think for me, Zach was the highlight.
I like that's what I'm saying. I like Zach, but I think he was given some dodgy stuff as well.
Yeah,
like World's Best Guardian says, "Stay here." It's like, what?
I mean, when you're writing Power Rangers, unfortunately, there are moments like that. Some series worse than others, but they're not the best at writing dialogue. But I thought the actors, I thought David Yost did a really good job at like you said, he kind of was shafted because his entire role was basically, I screwed up and I'm kind of depressed and peeved about it. So he didn't really have any other moves, But it was nice to see him take a leadership role, and he even like pilots the Megazord in the fight and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah. I like how the other Rangers like just they all slot back in together. Like I don't know if that four haven't worked together, have they? Like as in like that team of Rangers, like that lineup.
They all have, except Walter Jones hasn't worked with Kat and Rocky before, which they kind of in the behind the scenes they say it's cool because we've not worked together. And yet they are all friends. Like even despite all this stuff that happened on set that caused several of them to leave, they've kind of met at conventions and stuff, and they've all got on. And it really is, it's going to sound cheesy and terrible, but it is a Ranger family between the actors and the friends, and everybody gets on. And so they've all met, and they've all kind of been like, we have this crazy shared experience that very few people can compare.
Yeah, it's like with a lot of long running stuff, isn't it? Like what you get on. Like to bring it up, like with Doctor Who and stuff, like people that have been in it, like even if they haven't worked together, they like can just form this bond, like you say at conventions, or just like meeting up in everyday life and shit like that.
I was just going to ask, not necessarily about fan base, but like you just said about the Ranger family. Would you say this isn't as toxic as it can be? I know we've discussed about certain accusations towards certain actors and certain opinions about certain characters, but like, do you think relatively it's a healthier, relatively organisable, like family fan base, where we want to call it to be amongst the actors? I would say it's kind of like any other one, and I'm kind of in a weird situation where I consider myself kind of a big all-in member of at least three, like the Doctor Who, Star Trek, and Power Rangers fandoms, and they all have their toxic element, and I'm not going to brush that under the carpet and say it doesn't exist, because unfortunately it does.
Some of them end up getting given a cloak at the Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, well, oh dear. But no, I mean, there's always going to be, you're going to get people, unfortunately, you do still have people where, like, for example, when they announced the actor who was playing the gold Dino Fury Ranger in the last season, and it's a black guy, and they announced it on like a Hasbro live stream, and the racists all flooded in, and it was like, oh, this is so disappointing, because this isn't us as a fandom.
And also, like you say, it's a kids show, so like you need to set a good example to the target audience, which is the fucking kids. Because,
Which is, like I said, I give them all the credit in the world for Dino Fury having the Green Ranger, who's a woman, come out as lesbian partway through the season, because I'm like, that can't have been easy, because they've got to know that there'll be certain circles that are just like, this show's gone woke, we can't believe it, and whatever.
Yeah. Trying to force this down our kids' throats. Yeah.
What's the world come to? Yeah.
And to be fair,
Power Rangers in my day were all straight.
I did notice there was a moment in the special similar to that where there's a guy who, I think the Min, the Yellow Ranger to be, has to save the guy, and he's like, "You've got to help my boyfriend," and it's just not addressed. It's just a thing. And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." You know, just more like that.
They took my boyfriend, and she just carries on and like just goes and helps. Yeah. It's that kind of stuff. It shouldn't have to be made a big song and dance about. It should just be, well, that's everyday life for some people. Like, you know.
Exactly. But I mean, knowing, like I said, the kind of crap that David Yost got back in the day for being gay, it's kind of nice that we've come so far now that it's, you know, not only is he leadership position in the Rangers, but you can have those moments in the episodes where it's like, we've evolved a bit more than that, you know. So
we should probably apologize for how bad we didn't fight for some stuff, maybe.
Basically,
it's nice that they're making those leaps, because, you know, if you want to have anyone think that they could be Power Rangers, then anyone has to feel like they could be a Power Ranger, and you have to represent all fucking walks of life.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, not to get all preachy, but like I said, that is the nicest thing. And to go back to your point, Connor, I think, like I said, like all fandoms, there's going to be that toxic element. But thankfully, because I, you know, cultivate my fandom, I don't deal with those people. I will tend to just block or ignore. So the fandom members that I deal with are quite, you know, nice and forward thinking and woke, if you want to
progressive.
So,
like progressive with the times.
And I mean, it stems from the fact that we probably all grew up. I know I did, being given shit for even being a Power Rangers fan, because they were like, "Kid show, man, grow up." Like, who's it harming? You know what I mean? If I'm watching this, like, I'm well aware it's aimed at kids, but doesn't mean I can't enjoy it.
We all enjoy different things, so who gives a shit? But yeah, like, because I think like the main fandoms, like there is, especially as we know, on like in Doctor Who circles, in Star Wars circles.
Precisely. And that's why I mean, I would say it's exactly like that. And although you guys aren't a member of it, the Star Trek community in the same way, you know, there's, you know, I'd like to think the vast majority are progressive and cool, but you can't deny there are people, and there are certain people that trade off the outrage. You know, they have YouTube channels that get hundreds of millions of clicks by just going, "This show's too woke now."
But I think, like some have, not like that they have more than others, but like obviously Doctor Who ones are more vocal and are seen more of because of all the like stuff you will see on Elon Musk's Twitter and things like that. Or like, whereas Power Rangers, like less so. Like I've not known or seen of many bad instances. I like you say, there are assholes in every community, but it's just. I think
you'd have to be a fan to notice as well. Sorry to interrupt. You'd have to kind of be in that fandom to notice, because if you're not following the people, it's like anything, you don't really notice. Like I said, you guys probably don't know half as much about the Star Wars fandom as a people as I do, because I naturally follow people that share that interest, and I have a podcast where people talk about it and stuff. So it's like that with Power Rangers. I follow people who are also fans of it and stuff. So to me, it's a lot bigger of a group of people, of adults that enjoy it, than you might know or might think. And like I said, as you're saying, like, oh, you're not seeing a lot of it on maybe your Twitter and stuff. But like I said, it's kind of depressing. If you go to any Hasbro Pulse live stream, they'll find it. Those jerks and the trolls, they will find it, and they'll immediately complain about, you know, this is too woke. You've turned everyone gay. There's too many black people involved and whatever else, just vile thoughts and stuff. And it's like, guys, come on. In a Hasbro live stream that's announcing like the newest action figures of Power Rangers, this isn't the place. I mean, there is no place for it, but this is definitely not the place, you know?
Yeah. If you're going to have them opinions, have them in your own home, and don't bring the negativity to our front door.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, like you say, it's everywhere. We just don't see it. I think because there's not many. I don't think any fandom can say they don't have, you know,
toxicity.
You know, James Bond fans kick the fuss up every 7 years, and they're like, "It's going to be a woman." Fuck off.
Yeah, that was a whole other argument that people were like, "I can't believe they've got a female Bond," and I was like, "They haven't. They've got a female 007. It's a different thing."
My only thing is, why don't we write some, instead of gender flipping stuff, why don't we write some compelling, strong female action stars, give them their own franchise, and just let them.
I agree with you, but the sad thing is that would never get greenlit because it doesn't have brand recognition.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But that's a conversation for a different time.
But that does lead into to go back to the Power Ranger special. Like I said, the fact that I loved so much of it, and it did get me emotional, and I was like, it did as much as I could have expected it to do. And then, like I said, an awful lot of entitled people were like, this doesn't fit the canon of the show. This doesn't look as good as it should. This bit isn't cool. And I'm like, guys,
lucky we got it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Like one guy, I think, complained, and I was going to bring this up because he was like, well, I'm looking on this as a Mighty Morphin 30 years later instead of a 30th anniversary special because it shafted every Ranger that's not a Mighty Morphin. And I was like, it's called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. What were you expecting? It's not going to have, well over 100 people that it's going to find space for in this episode. It actually did a really good job at acknowledging that they existed rather than just ignoring them. Like kind of Connor was saying before, the fact that it was like, okay, these fights happened off screen, but Rita's minions went to these other cities and now we've captured them and turned them into these Lightning Collection action figures. So there you go. We've done
nice. Yes.
And we could get more of it because the chatter is that this isn't the end. There could be more, if not of just the Mighty Morphin. Perhaps maybe other Rangers could get, a bit of closure, which would be nice.
Like I said, I know I keep bringing up Japan because it is important to the overall thing, but in Japan, they do a 10 years later or 20 years later for every series, more or less. Like if it's a popular show, they will get the cast back 10 years later and just be like, and here's where the cast are now 10 years, the characters 10 years down their journey, and this is what they're up to. And there's nothing stopping Power Rangers doing that, like if Time Force was the year 2000, for example. So 2030 is their 30th anniversary. There's nothing to stop them saying, we'll grab that cast together and do a 30th anniversary special for just Time Force.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's what we could. Like every like you could have a Once and Always for like every Power Ranger series. And then, it all links together and then everything is fine. And then everyone's got regain.
It is kind of nice, though, that, like I said, it started off not being, because it was kind of regarded kid show, doesn't matter, etc. And it is nice that they've established a kind of almost as big as the MCU kind of combined universe, which doesn't, like, this special doesn't contradict anything as far as I'm concerned too hugely. Like, I'm not overly concerned how they've got the Dinozords back to form the Megazord. I don't care, frankly. Like, I'm sure there's ways they could do it. I don't care how they've got the Mighty Morphin powers back that were previously seen destroyed. Because at the end of the day, the way they got the powers was basically magic. So, I can hand wave that away. It doesn't really break anything for me. I'm like, well, Billy reconstructed the Megazord with his tech. There you go. He's got a tech company. Why not? Yeah. So I wasn't fussed about any of that. And I liked the way it was, quite faithful to all of the stuff that's gone before.
The story with the Yellow Ranger, was that satisfying for you?
Very. That was the thing I really appreciated. I thought Charlie Kirsch, who plays Maine, I think she's a fantastic actress. I think, without wanting to sound too offensive to the returning characters, I think she was the best actress in this. She did a fantastic job. But having said that, the emotional weight that at least Walter and David, if nothing else, brought to the loss of Trini, because she was there. She was who they worked with. The other two didn't. The Rangers, the replacement ones they brought in. So they never really met her, as far as I know, and it's sad. But it was nice to finally get what I think I'd longed for a long time, because it was always jarring and kind of felt a bit, not offensive, but kind of, it didn't sit right with me when you had moments like Super Mega Force, where it was like, here's the entire Mighty Morphin team. And I was like, and I'm supposed to believe that's Trini, and you're not addressing the kind of the elephant in the room here. It's kind of, I'm not cool with this. So it was nice that they finally addressed it. Although I do think it jarred far too much that it was Rita that killed her. And they kind of, I don't know. That doesn't sit super well with me, because yes, it gives you the stakes and stuff, but then you're just left questioning how she's suddenly non-lethal all the rest of the time. And
like the same thing that hits her daughter doesn't kill her.
Yeah, like it activates the morpher and stuff. Like I get the symbolism and the point and whatever, but and I just can't get on board with. I know that it's some people have issue with the restriction of like you can't say kill on a kid show, you've got to say destroy or whatever. But it did actually genuinely sound jarring when it was like I killed the Ranger and oh she killed my mom, and I'm like this.
Yeah.
So...
Rita killed mom. We have to stop her.
Yeah,
I was like, there was nothing stopping you saying that she had an accident or something off screen. Obviously, not the same thing the actress did in real life, sorry. But I would really rather that it'd been like something tragic happened, and we've lost Trini, but now we have to fight without her, and Rita's, up to her old tricks again. So what do we do? We're down a member, but not because of Rita, So people would probably disagree with me on that, but I was just like, that's a tonal...
But then it's actual personal stakes for the narrative, isn't it? It's the whole reason to get Min involved in it and the the development
and her ambition to get revenge on the woman that killed her mother, not destroyed her like you've just said, but like full on kill. This is personal. This is grittier. This is more real.
Yeah. I will say as well, though, that was the other thing that. It's such a weird complaint, and again, I'm talking about writing in a kid's show, but I did find it odd that Billy tries to teach Min the lesson with the kind of the two monsters when he has them magnetized and stuff, and she's like, kill them, finish them off, and he's like, the non-lethal solution is always the best way. Then like 10 minutes later, he impales Rita with the power lance, like, screw you, I'm going to just murder you horribly, and I'm like, those two scenes do not sit well virtually back to back, It's kind of like, I don't object to you killing Rita or anything, but don't then have the scene where you're like, but you can't always kill people, mind you. And
that goes for you at home as well.
Exactly. Oh, that reminds me of another complaint that somebody had on the internet, which again bugged me no end, because somebody was like, why didn't they form the power blaster? Because they can't afford the freaking footage of them combining it, guys. They used all the weapons individually. Shut up.
Did you see the Megazord title sequence, like shot-to-shot recreation that they recreated in full 4K instead of having a bright grey like backdrop in the day? They had to do it on the freaking moon. Did you see how expensive those shots were to recreate? That's where all the money went.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, complaining about stuff like that, they didn't form the combined weapon power blaster. Who cares? I saw the power lance and the power sword and the daggers all get used. What difference would it have made if you'd cut to the original stock footage of now they're combining it, because it would just be weird.
It would have been very weird. Yeah, it would have been weird.
Yeah, because I think the good thing this did is it felt like a Power Rangers episode, but also not.
Yeah,
like it did the bits that you love, but also like you say, like with the whole revenge stuff for the death of Trini, like it's there's stakes, it's personal, it's up to bit, it's more adult. It's like the Power Rangers have grown up as they know the audience have.
Yeah,
100%. And I think, like I said, these are little nitpicks, and they didn't distract me from saying I really did love this, and I did feel like it was, the writers did craft a fantastic love letter to people that have been watching this for 30 years, or people that watched it 30 years ago and never since. And that's kind of a difficult balancing act, which I really appreciated. And like I said, there's plenty of good acting in it, a lot of emotional moments, and it is really cool seeing for the first time like full-on morphed in-suit fights that are filmed in, admittedly, New Zealand, but not filmed in Japan and just ported over on videotape later. It's like, see, guys, we can do this. Fair enough, we can't manage the whole suitmation Megazord being a guy in a Godzilla type suit deal, but dang, those fights with the morphed Power Rangers look good, man. So, yeah.
So what would you like to see more of these, and where would you you like it to have its own sort of arc
series? Yeah.
To, like, if
I'd love
more of these.
I'm very excited to see what they do with Cosmic Fury, which, as I said, is the 30th anniversary series that they're doing, because if you don't know, they've continued the narrative from Dino Fury, and they're using the same Rangers with different powers, which are original suits, which don't come from Japan. So they're suits that were designed and invented and created entirely for us. And I was a little bit iffy with the suits at first when I saw the concept art, but then they showed pictures of and videos of them in person on the Rangers, and they look pretty cool. They've also, for the first time, had a female Red Ranger. The former Pink Dino Fury is now Red and is the leader of the team, which again is a huge step forward for the full series. So that's pretty cool. And they are using, obviously, Japanese Zord footage, and they're using Zord footage from one of my favorite previously unadapted Sentai so far, called Q Ranger, which uses Zords based on constellations, basically. So like a lion for Leo and a chameleon for that star system, or scales for a Libra, or whatever else, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, the main villain is going to be Lord Zed, who they brought back in Dino Fury. So they're aware it's a 30th anniversary season, and I think they're going to make it seem like an anniversary season. So I'm intrigued to see what they do. But I would definitely be up for more specials like this to celebrate big events, or you know, even wrap up stories that you haven't had time to, or whatever. So yeah, I'd be up for it.
Yeah. Any off the top of your head you'd like wrapped up?
Not really. I mean, there was one overriding big cliffhanger that they didn't deal with for ages, but then Beast Morphers concluded it brilliantly, which is a different story for another time. But off the top of my head, I don't really know of anything that would need it. But like I said, just do it anyway. Do it as specials too. I think my dream scenario would be a halfway decent adaptation of Gokaiger from Japan, which wasn't Super Megaforce, that maybe used some of the footage that they hadn't used, or actually paid tribute in a good way. Or I'd absolutely love our equivalent of their kind of. They did a movie that was what they called 199 Hero Great Battle in that beautiful Japanese titling way, which was all of the previous teams all coming together. And we did use the footage from it from the episode that I think you said you saw, George, where they're all in the quarry and it's every morphed ranger. But our version was pathetic, really. And I was like, I'd love to do the equivalent of that for Power Rangers, where it's like, let's get as many as we can in person. Let's have every one of the suits there, and let's be like, this threat is so overwhelming. We need every ranger in existence to face it. So, you know, do it that way, and then bring, you know, they even have a scene there where every Megazord has to combine. And yes, it looks faintly ridiculous that this city suddenly accommodates like 30 or 40 giant robots that are all facing this one big angry dude, but it's still cool. It's undeniably like,
it's fun.
I recognize them all, you know? So yeah, I'd love to do something like that where it is literally, we're going to do as much as we can of all of the stuff that's done before. But failing that, like I said, I think you had the good idea, you know, by proxy of like, do 10 years later or 20 years later or 30 years later for different seasons. You know, let's see where the Galaxy Rangers are. The last we left them, they were on another planet. They were repopulating it with people from Earth. Let's see what's happened to them. Is the space colony still there? Have they turned the planet into another Earth? Have they still been fighting the forces of evil through space or whatever? You know, let's see it.
Yeah, and you could sort of like lightly link them together as you did with the series. You could kind of go from one once and always through all of them, and then kind of be like, in the end, like you've kind of wrapped up every single Power Ranger series.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like you can always see where are they now, you know. So, but anyway, go ahead.
I was literally just going to briefly ask though. I have an idea of my own, but I was just going to ask you the question anyway. If we were going to get another like Netflix special, whatever, whether it's to celebrate an anniversary of another series or just to continue the loose kind of cliffhangery ending with the whole Billy and like, oh, let's not give up bringing Zordon back.
That felt like a hook for something else.
I was going to say that automatically in my mind goes back to the ending of In Space, and maybe to find out what happened to Andros, me, in the future after the ending, and like find out where the In Space Rangers went and what happened to Zordon's goodwill that spread across the galaxy. And maybe that's how naturally, if Netflix were to commission another series of some sort of a special, then maybe that's how they will technically bring Zordon back. But I was just going to ask, like, what other team would you like to see next? If they were only going to limit it to like one a team, or ideally create your own set of Rangers where you get fan favorite ones from all different areas into another Netflix feature.
Well, I was just going to say, like, as you were talking there, I was thinking of the idea, and again, it's something that's already been done in Japan, but you could combine seasons that have a similar theme. So you could do like the Space Rangers, Galaxy Rangers, SPD, and Time Force are all vaguely similar. So let's combine them into like a sci-fi super team and do a movie with them, or let's combine the 4 dinosaur series and do
longer than 55 minutes though, you know? For each.
Obviously. But and they did something in Japan quite recently, which was called, again, this is hilariously badly titled, but it was called 4-Week Continuous Strongest Battle Super Sentai, which was basically they had all of the teams that had gone before, they had various members, and they split them off into teams of like 4 and then made them fight in like a UFC Street Fighter kind of way to see who was the strongest of all of the Sentai. And I was like, something like that could be cool. Like, you know, so
well, almost like Secret Wars, but for Power Rangers.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
And I suppose, I know obviously you can't do it because of Mr. David Frank, but maybe that's when you bring Thanos as in the form of Lord Decon, however you pronounce his name from the comics. That is or not Tommy, from what I understand, the evil version.
It is Tommy, but from another universe where he was like, for whatever reason, he was evil, and even though he was broke free of Rita's spell, he was still happy to be evil. And then he went around and started stealing the powers of all the Rangers into himself. And don't love that story myself. I liked it in the comics, but I don't love the way everyone took it on board as like, this is the coolest thing ever. Because I was like, it's fine. Just whatever.
It's only the most popular Ranger done evil again, this is how he was introduced anyway. But
having said that, I mean, like what they called that combined comic book thing in the style of like House of M and stuff, they called Shattered Grid, which was like the morphing grid is literally shattered, and all of the teams have to come together in various times and places to do their best. Do that. Do a like huge couple of movies event of that, and it could be huge.
Like Infinity War for Rangers.
Basically, yeah.
Let's do it. Would you like jump a universe and bring in the Bill Hader voiced Alpha and Bryan Cranston Zordon? Or
I still want to see a sequel to that movie. I think that movie's horribly underrated, and I'm one of the many people that's like, I can't believe you just abandoned it. And I get it, it didn't make enough money for you or whatever, but I thought that movie was great, and I would have loved a sequel. Now that they got the introduction parts out of the way, and they clearly strongly hinted at their new version of Tommy being introduced in the sequel, I was like, I really want to see more from these guys, you know. But
wasn't that green one meant to be a girl?
The Green Ranger was Rita originally. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but wasn't there talk that the new one would have been a girl, like the new Green they were going to introduce in the sequel, or something like that? I remember reading that.
Oh, I didn't hear that, but I do know. Like I said, the post-credit scene of the movie is them calling register or whatever for school and saying, "Hey, Tommy Oliver, where are you? Are you here?" And then just cutting to like an empty seat in a backpack that says like T Oliver on it or whatever. So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's strong sequel hint." But now it won't happen. So.
I've still not seen it. Like, admittedly, I just haven't gone out of the way to see it.
Well, I'm reviewing it on my movie podcast in around the time of the actual 30th anniversary date, which is around August.
Oh.
So I'm making DK, my co-host, watch it for me, because I had invited a load of people and he was the only one that was like, yeah, I'll watch it, because I was like, guys, it's not what you think. It's like there is Power Rangers elements, but it's kind of more like the Breakfast Club with a huge robot fight at the end. You know, so...
Of course. What a weird mashup that sounds.
Maybe that could be a way that you'd make Connor watch it.
I mean, I'm kind of intrigued. Breakfast Club with a robot.
Hey man, if you want to come on and review it with us, you're very welcome to do so.
I mean, hey, it'll give you an excuse to watch it. But I mean, after this discussion, I've quite enjoyed, and I feel kind of rejuvenated to kind of be like, yeah, we're a Power Rangers podcast now. So what? Like, we're fans, we're adults. We've moved quite a bit on from those nostalgic days, but I'm kind of curious now to not hide my prideness of being a fan, but I'm also do want to go back and watch what I've clearly missed.
Yeah, I think Power Rangers is the epitome of what it was like to enjoy childhood.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, really
and when you revisit it, you kind of get that nostalgic.
It's a time capsule.
Oh, it is.
It's a time capsule.
Some of them quite literally.
It looks like without even knowing.
It looks like a space dumpster. But like I really enjoyed this nice little trip down memory lane. I think as much as it was short, I think it got in, got out, done what it needed to do. I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah.
In whatever form before we get the proposed second Power Rangers film reboot. That's I don't know. Is that going to be a new team? I don't know.
There's all kinds of rumors floating about they might be making an animated series to they might be doing a completely original, and that's what they're starting with Cosmic Fury being completely new suits to the idea of making an entire Power Rangers without being based on a Japanese property potentially. But these are all just rumors at this point. They might be doing like young adult movies and trying that again, but. There's no word on that, so I'm very I'm skittish about that ever happening, because it's very much like, yeah, we still know it's a great IP. We'll make a movie of it one day. Yeah, all right.
Maybe we shall. Well, we shall see. Once and always again. Hopefully, yes. I don't know. If another one gets announced, then we'll rejoin, just like the Power Rangers, to talk about it.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yes. Until then, Mike, where can the lovely ladies and gentlemen find you?
You can find me on a couple of podcasts that I do here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, that is the Silver Screen Podcast, which you can find by typing in Silver Screen Podcast, where we talk all things movies. That's me and my co-host DK and our sort of third member, Will Templar, who's finally joining us after a difficult few months. So he'll be joining us soon for a review of The Terminator, which you can stay tuned for. We also have other people who regularly come on, as well as occasional guests, including Connor, who's been on to review Scream and Scream, the annoyingly
real original.
I think you should only let him review those films.
Scream and Scream.
Well, I was thinking about that. Like, wouldn't it be funny if I invite him on to review Scream 6 next year at the same time? Like, just keep going with it.
I think you should. It's a running gag.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
No, I genuinely would be up for Power Rangers as well if you don't have other plans by then. Or
nobody else wants to do it. So, like I said, it was going to be just me and DK, but I'd happily have a third member because we tend to like at least 3 people to talk about these things. So that would be cool. And the other podcast you can find on YouTube is Hit or Miss Star Trek Podcast, which I alluded to earlier, where we talk all things Star Trek. You can find that all over
the galaxy.
YouTube, like I said, all over the galaxy. We do episode reviews that are based around various themes. We have interviews with key Star Trek people. We've just done a top 10 Starfleet ships 2-part video. So you can find that and enjoy all of our Trek content, if I put my teeth in. And we're starting up very soon because we've been on a little bit of a kind of break with just the odd episode here and there. But our third full season is starting soon, and that will be dealing entirely with episodes based around the Klingons, one of the most iconic Star Trek elements. So stay tuned for that. And you can find both of those podcasts just under Mike's podcast feed. They're on the same feed. Type in either one of the podcast's names or type in Mike's podcasts, wherever you get your audio podcasts, and I'm sure you'll find them. So.
I was just going to say, while you're on the podcast subject, while we're talking about you, congrats on your 200 subs on the Silver Screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, well done.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We were shocked that, not in a bad way, but we were aiming for that for the end of the year, and but don't be disappointed if it doesn't happen, because it's a big, it might not mean a lot to everyone, but to us, that's a big deal. And then, we hit 200 subscribers on Silver Screen Podcast the other day. And as last time I checked, I think we were on 208. So it's still going as well. So awesome. I'm very happy with this. And if you are listening to this and you wanted to, as a kind of thank you for those 200 subs, you can go to any of our socials or any video on the Silver Screen channel. And it's your moment to pick a movie that we have to review. Whatever you suggest, we'll either pick whichever one gets the most votes or put them into a hat and pick one out. So you choose which film, and you can either, be ridiculous, make us watch like The Room or Manos, The Hands of Fate, or you can be like, guys, why haven't you watched this 5-star classic yet? And
Whether they like it or not.
Exactly.
The Horns of Nimon twice.
If I was doing Doctor Who, I'd happily review Horns of Nimon, but no. And you can also, if you wanted to suggest a guest that you'd rather have on from the past, or somebody that we haven't had on even, we'll do our best to do that and accommodate you there as well. Even if it's one of these two gents, we'll happily have either of you on anytime.
Thank you very much. Well, I believe I'm due on to annoy Will later on in the year.
Yes, that's in November for the Doctor Who 60th. We're reviewing Doctor Who and the Daleks as a kind of tie into that. So yes. Do come on and annoy Will, please.
Oh yes. As we had such fun in our 3-part Jodie extravaganza review retrospective thing that I do want to do more of, that I will need to gather the forces once again. The Rangers of the Edge.
That sounds so weird, but yeah.
Until then, mate, thank you very much for being our first guest of this year, because we haven't really sort of hit a stride as we have previously, but it's always a pleasure to talk with you because you're so knowledgeable and wise. Such a wise old ranger.
When it comes to nerd stuff, I'm knowledgeable, but do not ask me about Pythagorean theorem or equations or anything. But no, thanks for having me on without Will and Andy. It was really nice of you. And just to give you a super quick one-line review of the other things I watched and might have addressed but didn't this week. Renfield was average at best. Evil Dead Rise was great, but not the 5 stars everyone says it is. Star Trek Picard, ditto. The Mandalorian was very, very made to poor, but had one episode I liked, which everyone else hated. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mandalorian, I don't think this was the way. I didn't feel this season much at all.
I need to watch the last one. Have you caught up?
well, basically, long story short, I've had a bit of a cold, so apologies for my cough. I was sofa bound Saturday evening, so I had no choice. The force was in me to watch Mandalorian, and I didn't particularly enjoy it too much. Like bits and bits, but it definitely was mid to. This is not the way I was expecting it to go.
Perhaps we'll have to. I mean, Renfield, I'm surprised at because I wanted that to be.
We
good.
wanted a Lego Batman. We wanted the Lego Dracula movie, and it wasn't. But well, I mean, in terms of humor and acknowledging the mythology that it so clearly was based upon, and it just wasn't. Nicolas Cage was his own side character in his own movie. But Nicolas
Cage was the best thing. But yeah, you knew
Nicolas
that was
Cage is his own side character in his own life, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. No, Nick Cage knew what kind of movie he wanted it to. You know, he was acting for the kind of movie I wanted it to be. Everyone else was taking it far too seriously.
I just thought the film would have been the unbearable weight of being Dracula's bitch. Like I feel like, not being harsh, but I feel there's a lot of things with 2023 where I feel like because better material have come out, some last year, some more recent. I feel like this year's kind of been a bit like good to mid. Everything this year's kind of been good to mid, but then randomly John Wick, Mario, Evil Dead for me was good, and I mean it did some ideas that. 5 films in, why hadn't they done before? But the only thing I'd say about Evil Dead, it wasn't literally edge of my seat, like jump scare heavy. It wasn't like, oh fuck, I can't look at the screen. Like, but it was still, for the most part, I really did enjoy that film. And at the minute, it's on the top 10 because everything. At the minute,
I gave it 4 stars, but it's just that so many of my friends and the critics were like 5-star gem, and I'm like, I watch too many horror movies. A lot of this is stuff I've seen before. It's not reinventing the wheel really, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's still doing what it does enjoyably, and the lead actress in it is fantastic. It's a great central performance. At least, so.
I care about most of the characters in it as well. Whereas Evil Dead, like you said in your 2013 review, if you haven't checked it out, people, Evil Dead is kind of a one-man show for the most part. Not referring to Bruce Groovy Campbell, but I feel like this new one at least made you care about most of the characters. Like I kind of rooted for the youngest daughter, the mum, although she was the deadite in this, the sister and whatever. Like I kind of cared about majority of the characters in this new one. So I'd say go and watch it if you're still curious about Evil Dead. If you want to watch something that gives you the slight shivers, then you may well give Evil Dead a go.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to book my ticket for Guardians Volume 3, which is like a week and a half away, believe it or not.
Oh, bloody hell. The film that shouldn't have happened by the time we started this channel,
Yeah, we saved James Gunn, so it's fine.
Yeah. We're the reason this film's coming out, damn it.
Yes. You're welcome, James. But
awesome.
In the meantime, Connor, what can the ladies and gentlemen do? I mean, they can do whatever they want, because I really don't care.
Well, we do care if you can find us across our social medias, not anything related to the Power Rangers or the Deadites or Evil Dead, but if you can find the Pasty Sheep across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok, just the TikTok. And then if you want to send us an electronic mail to nerdbiblecontact@gmail.com.
Electronic mail.
Electronic mail. Yes, Guillermo.
I'm not tapping on the window. Did you watch the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows, Mike?
Of course. Yeah.
How did you find it?
A little less good than the others, yeah. Sure.
It's a bit Rick and Morty post the initial enjoyment phase of like, oh, this is still good, but but I fucking love this show, man. I love Matt Berry.
I've still got so much to watch, but I still have.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. That was probably the best episode of. I think it was in that season, or I'm going to sound like an idiot, where they kind of they fall out, Nandor and Laszlo, and they're at the cabin and they're like basically just bitching at each other the entire time. It's so hilarious. But yeah, I love the cliffhanger ending of that. I'm intrigued where that's going to go as well. So.
The regrowing cycle of Colin Robinson was that was the nice thing when he goes through puberty when he's doing one of his stage shows.
Which reminds me, I keep meaning to text you guys with this. Did you know that like during the pandemic in 2020, they did a podcast which was basically like a new series of Phone Jacker? So it's like 8 episodes of about 15-20 minutes of Kevin Novak just doing the Phone Jacker characters again to random poor unsuspecting victims.
No, I did not know that. I'll have to check that out.
Check it out on Spotify for free. Just type in Phone Jacker podcast and it comes up. So
definitely have to give that a go. But in the meantime, you know where to find Mike, you know where to find us, and you know where to find the power within yourself.
May the power protect you.
Yes. And justice for Rocky and his noodles.
Once a pasty sheeper, always a pasty sheeper.